What's up, everybody, and welcome to the latest edition of the Jobber Knocker podcast. As always, is Nestlemania alongside for the ride is a man that's been around longer than John Cena's bald spot, JC.
And the superior JC, of course. And Nestlemania. We got a lot to talk about this week. We got what you just mentioned there in a Raw in our hometown of Boston, which neither of us could go. But it was an awesome show, and we're gonna dive into deep that because we are fully on the road to WrestleMania. That's if that was the big theme of the week for me this week, is it really felt like it with all the happenings. But there also was a little bit of a revolution, which was kind of a mystery going in, but turned out to be a very well-acclaimed show over in AEW. We will hit on that later in the program because a lot of stuff happened there as well.
There's a lot to get to, a lot of wrestling, and like you said, it's WrestleMania season, so that's where we got to be at our best, folks. So let's start where we always start, in the shine, because JC loves it, so let's do it.
We're going to start on SmackDown, which was very good, but not even we're close to Raw. But I think in terms of like getting through like the major theme this week is that we got to start off with Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns. Finally, we got the face-to-face, and Cody kind of goaded into him doing it like one-on-one, mano-y-mano, Dusty Sun to Dusty Sun. And that was the thing I loved about it, is all the Dusty stuff. Because we know Roman was obviously one of the big like students of Dusty, someone that like Dusty really could mold because he was someone that came in completely naked into the wrestling world and needed to be fully dressed and to become what we see now as the tribal chief. And he's someone who said Dusty's had such a major influence over him. So this is one of those things that like with Cody, it just like, we already knew it was coming out of both their mouths in these promos, I feel like, for the most part, but it didn't matter because these two are both really good. They're probably two of the best storytellers in wrestling, like period, like not just like now, but like period. So I thought this was a segment I was waiting for, and I thought it completely delivered on what I wanted.
I just cracked up when he said, so what do you want to talk about? Like when he got the chance to do it, I went, I'm in. Like, and then he just did the, hold on. Have you won one of these? Hold on. Have you ever main evented, WrestleMania? There's so many things he did that I was just like, oh my God, it is beyond good. And then at the end, which I really loved, which the line to me was the real deal of the whole line was, if your dad didn't teach you everything, I sure will. And I went, oof, and then he smiled. But again, what Roman Reigns does better than anybody else, he smiled when he turned back, and then he had a face of like, oh shit, he didn't fight. And I just, when you look at that, you go, holy moly, man, like that's just next level stuff that a lot of people do not do. So
yeah, and I think that's the big thing with Roman Reigns over this run is the details that he provides with everything he does. Like we say it all the time, like he's not there a lot, but when he is there, like, man, he leaves an impact for a long time. And it just like, it's those little like facials and stuff like that he has mastered of why he became what he became. And that obviously really kicked it off in terms of like the whole bloodline thing for the entire week, because we also had more bloodline happenings. Freaking Doc. Coming right at you.
Doc.
Right off the bat. Coming at him right off the bat, much like the bloodline was coming after Sami Zayn all night. we obviously on SmackDown, it was a Solo and Sammy match, and they wanted to take him out because it's this whole thing with Roman being like, you got to take care of our Sammy and KO problem. You got to get Jey Uso back here with the ultimatum, because essentially SmackDown was leading into Raw, but still the stuff on SmackDown was really good.
I really enjoyed it. I mean, obviously Monday kind of tied up some loose ends there. At least we can talk about it now. But I thought just watching, I'm not going to lose patience with Sammy. I'm not going to lose patience with Jay. I'm going to lose patience with Jimmy. And just seeing, like the walrus sitting there being like, Jafar, like it's exactly what he is. And it's just like all these little things, is that wine? Are you drinking wine?
Sangria. Come on.
Sangria. I don't drink, so I don't know.
It's delicious.
Does it make you a better
podcaster? Sangria is like fruity wine.
Okay. All right.
It's delicious.
I can't, I can't touch that. But no, but getting back to the bloodline stuff, I mean, we didn't know. I thought they were going to make us wait for Jay on Friday, like throughout the entire night. And they kind of gave it to us on Monday. You could see why they gave it to us on Monday, but it's
full circle on Monday because War Games was in Boston where it all started. So I thought that was the detail that we didn't really, I don't think, ever thought about. But once it happened, it was like, that's pretty cool. They really have had this thing planned out, and it's pretty cool.
I didn't expect it. I thought Jay did a fantastic job with the whole like beating on his brother's shirt and his heart and being like, oh, I want to do this. And then I trust you 100, which should be a shirt on www.shop.com. If it's not, they're missing out with the 100 emoji. But it is so fascinating to me to watch this entire thing unfold, because now it's like, it's family. Of course it's family. I had to pick family. Like, you didn't give me any choice. You think I was really going to pick you? Like, when I look at that, that's just great storytelling overall. But now we're at this weird place where, again, I think I dropped it in the thread there, but it's so interesting. In the back of that Rick Boogs Elias promo, you have Cody talking to KO, who's animated doing this nonsense. Cody slides in at the end to save Sammy, and it's just like, okay, it's kind of interesting if you look at it, because I don't think Dusty considers the Usos Dusty kids.
Because I think they were pretty much out long before that, because they remember they debuted with like Tamina like way back when.
Way
they were like
back.
a thing. So they were like they might have even been like if they were at the Performance Center, it was in the very, very early stages with Dusty. Who knows, might not have even been there by then, because they're actually, the Usos have been around a lot longer than people think. So
no, it was interesting to me because if you look at it from the other perspective, which I assume at some point, either on the back end of WrestleMania or maybe the lead up to WrestleMania, it'll be KO, Sammy, and Cody versus Roman and the Usos.
Keep that at live events. We don't.
No, I'm just saying. It just seems like logically we're gonna head there at some point. I don't know, but it's fascinating to me because there's the Dusty Boys. You know what I mean? Like, that's exactly what it is. It's KO and Sammy are Dusty guys. It's so fascinating going forward because we're finally at a point where it all seems to align, and I think. Yeah. These next 3 weeks are going to be very important going forward. And to answer your question, Joe, that is not a Rod Stewart poster. It's a James Stewart Rear Window Alfred Hitchcock poster. So you can get the F out about that. All right.
I do want to say with one final bow on this bloodline stuff is that I did like how they presented this with like Jay acting like they really did milk it, because they got the Boston crowd was great all night, like the Boston crowd always is, and they got the reaction of being like, I choose you, like whatever, and I'm going nuts. And then like you could kind of tell, like watching it, like he was waiting for the cue to get it, but they let it linger longer than I expected. Because obviously I know it was coming because I had to work last night and I saw the spoilers. So I was like watching, I was just like waiting. I was watching Jay being like, where's the moment when he's supposed to kick him? And I'm like, they're just like, it isn't happening. I'm like, man, this was really well done, how well they milked this to keep it interesting. Obviously, then the show got long because Cody ran out and we're like putting up the credits as he comes out. But at least they got to play his song twice in one night, because I'm assuming he fought in a dark match. But yeah, I mean, it's just like, it was good because I was worried. We've talked about it. Like, how do they do this to make it work? And I thought they hit another home run, which is just the theme of this entire storyline.
It feels like a natural progression to go from Cody to Cody getting the rub from Cena, but I don't think we can put John Cena necessarily and all that jazz in the shine, because I feel like that's a discussion we're going to have. But the Cody getting a rub is a big deal from John Cena.
I mean, I think we can put it in the shine because I know what you mean when you say that, because honestly, A lot of the things Cena said and did, I didn't like. Like I would put that as heat because I think it's something you bring up all the time about the way like Rock treated people. And I know why they're doing it with Cena, and I know why how they're doing it with Theory, and I know what their intent is and the reason for it. But it just like to me, I'm listening to that promo and I'm like, you're kind of making me want to root for Theory because you're being a fucking asshole. Like, have you not been watching the product? Like, Theory's one of the few guys they don't have to pump in noise for. This kid gets booed out of the building when he walks in a room, not like Dom level. So it's just like that was to me, but like I did still. It's one of the reason why I say it kind of has to be in the shine because Cena returning is a big deal. It's cool. There's special moments. The pops are insane. I love that Theory immediately interrupted him before they could say a word. And the reason why I think, even with the problems I had with this segment, the reason why I thought it was a win, because when it became Theory's turn to return fire, I thought the fire he returned was better than Cena threw at him all night. Like you look at the name of the podcast this week, his bald spot. Like that was the fucking line of the promo. I thought Theory, his pacing in promos, his delivery, him knowing when to pause has gotten so much better just in like the past year with all that he's been through that it just like, I mean, I'm excited for this match. I don't know about you. I'm excited for the next couple of weeks, whatever they give us, because I mean, I think Theory held his own, and this really is a passing of the torch type match, which I think is why they're really leaning in the heavy of Cena being like, you're not ready, blah, blah, blah. But this is something we kind of ping pong back and forth the last month or two because we knew this was coming. It is for the U.S. title, Nestlemania. So do you think we get a one-off Cena win here, or is it just like clearly like a predictable Theory win? That's the thing I'm really curious about.
I don't think it's that predictable to say that Theory's going to win. I think after him getting trashed on Monday, you can sit there and you can tell yourself, okay, it's going to be John Cena. He's going to steamroll him. And I think that's what they're hoping on. Like, I think that's what they're really guaranteeing here is that you're thinking to yourself, oh, here comes Super Cena. But what I actually took away from this entire thing was, yeah, the whole thing about the piping of the crowd noise. And then like, you don't have a brain, you don't have a heart, and you got a soft sack. Like I was like, first off, that's weird you touch another man's nuts in public nowadays, but whatever. And then, he's like, you got to work on that last one, kid. Like he was fumbling around in there. It was just bizarre to me. Like, whatever. And then I'm like sitting there thinking to myself, like, how many things did he say that made it sound like this was my biggest gripe about the entire thing, right? Like you can talk me into any matchup and I'm okay with it. But the one thing that I thought they did a terrible job with, and maybe you can explain it to me and maybe somebody else in the chat can explain it to me, but I can't wrap my mind around it. He said, if you lose, you lose. But if you win, you lose too, because now you got to go out and prove it. And it's like, well, then what's the fucking point? Like, you didn't do a good job explaining like what he should have said. And I think this is what maybe can happen. I don't know. I don't think John Cena is probably going to show up for many more of these Raws. So I think this is probably all we get. But what I would have loved to see from Theory was, if you think I'm not that good, think about how big of an embarrassment it's going to be for you to lose to me at WrestleMania. Are you going to be able to see yourself anymore, John? Are you going to be able to have these fans see you? Like stuff like that. Like if you can't beat little old me, like that's how you spin it back into his favor. And I was hoping to see that because I felt like they kind of cut his sack off at some point. I understand they're trying to bury him, so to speak, as everybody's, freaking out on Twitter. He's not buried. He's going to be fine.
Oh, yeah, he's buried in a main event match or a WrestleMania match with John Cena. Really buried, guys.
But
I think people need to redefine what buried is to people because people are fucking dumb.
It's hard because I understand. Here's the thing. I understand people's vernacular of like he's being buried, but I thought he handled himself, like you said, pretty well. So I'm not necessarily in love with it, but in terms of the promo, I was hoping him to be like, if I'm such an embarrassment, you won't be able to show your face around here then, because you're basically going to have to eat crow the rest of your life because you're going to be the guy that lost to the guy that you don't think is good enough. Like that to me is like, that's how you change directions and you make it work, because otherwise if it's just Cena steamrolling, it's going to be the same thing as The Rock and Cena the first time around, where Cena was pleading with people to being like, can I take the handcuffs off here and insult The Rock? Because he's just fucking pummeling me. That's what it felt like when I was watching it on Monday.
Yeah, no. And to me, honestly, when I was watching, I was like, man, when did Cena get old, man? When did he become like the old, not cool guy? Like, it's just
he's
like,
never been cool.
No, I know, but like, no, Cena was cool. Like, are you kidding me? Word Life, like that was the coolest thing when I was a kid. That was the coolest thing in the world. It was awesome. It was a guy who came out and he rapped and he fucking like made fun of people and he was awesome. He had his fucking "You Can't See Me." Cena was as cool as it got, but it just like he like literally like he was like beyond like not that cool dad mode. He was like beyond that now. I'm like, oh my god, Cena. Like it just like as he looks old with the bald spot and he's acting old. His face is like not because he's not as gassed to the gills it used to be. His face is really like not as swollen anymore. It's thinned out. So yeah, I mean, I still think I'm very excited for it because I think it's a really cool thing. And I think Theory is going to be able to get stuff back as we go. Cause like you said, Cena's not going to be there every week. So Theory is going to have to do it on his own. And I think he's proven he can do that because he started this feud about 6 months ago and has kept it going ever since. The reason of why we wanted to see it. So I have a lot of faith in Theory.
I do want to say when you said he looked weird and old, all I could think about is that the Ernest P World meme where like it's Ernest and John Cena. John Cena needs to be the next Ernest goes to whatever. Like I'm in. If that ever happens, I'm like I'm the biggest Ernest fan there is. So if anybody's ever gonna replace Jim Varney and it's John Cena, it worked perfectly. Like hey Vern, I'm in. So I was actually as you were talking, I was almost I have the Ernest doll in my closet and I was gonna bring it out and be like you can't see me, but that's beside the point. Anything else that you got very much that's in the shine this week?
Yeah, it was another segment that the crowd was red hot for that we were anticipating. And that is, you know what? It's Seth Rollins and Logan Paul, man, featuring The Miz, who continues to be a part of this. But like, this is just, it's a Seth, the level of like crowd involvement with Seth right now is awesome. And like, but he was treated like a freaking son in Boston this week with the stuff he was getting. And it just like, I thought this was the most comfortable Logan Paul has looked because a lot of times like he comes out and he gets a reaction, man, because you can't teach what he gets. And I think in his previous like segments like this in WWE, he's kind of a fish out of water because he didn't know how to act. And there were definitely moments of that for sure in this segment. But I thought for the most part, like he's starting to get a little more comfortable with it. And I think he's gotten a little more comfortable with being like, okay, it's good to get booed out of the fucking building. It's okay. Like this is a good thing. And I think that's starting to click with him. And I think that's what really made me buy into this segment even more because I mean, we've wanted to see these guys face off since the moment in the Rumble. Like it was like, man, this makes sense. And the things that they said to each other, like, I mean, Logan's was a little like not as centered and locked in as it should have been, but like it makes sense. It's like, look at, I've barely been doing this and I'm already better than you and cooler than you and all this and that. It's like, it's one of those things where a lot of times when you get matches like this, it feels like they're just kind of thrown together. But this one, like it feels like there should like this is like should be a real feud and there's like real fire behind it. So I enjoyed it. I'm curious to see what else we get in the coming weeks because obviously Logan's like Cena. He might not be there every week, but I mean, this one's pretty much ready to go too. But I really like this segment.
I did appreciate a lot of what he did and said, and I thought that he did a great job. The Miz did a great job facilitating a lot of it. I thought that was, again, he's right in his wheelhouse doing what the Miz does better than anybody else. I love that, you know, I did appreciate that the crowd was continuing to sing and Logan cut him off and was like, this has a segment time go, you know, like, okay, we're done. Which again, great way to get a boo. And I think the other thing is like, I mean, I think he completely whiffed on the punch, but that's beside the point. It just looked kind of weird with like
I mean, you don't want him to actually punch him because Logan Paul can't actually box. He might actually knock you out.
No, I know, but it was like kind of like it kind of just looked like a windmill. You know what I mean? Like it was bizarre. Like it was fast and it was cool. And I'm sure in editing it'll look great. But it was just it's hard to get excited about the punching and stuff. But I think that the athleticism of it all will be perfectly fine when we get to it. It's just how do we get there? And I think, like you said, it's mostly done. I can see a contract signing as we're all going to roll our eyes, but I can see something like that happening one last time. I don't know how much more barbs they can go back and forth because I feel like you can make something up that's fine, but I think once you start grasping at straws with shit when you're like making fun of somebody, I think that's where it deteriorates a lot quicker as a fan when I'm watching. Like when, like, remember when Bailey a couple weeks ago did something and she's with Bailey and Becky, they were like going back and forth and then they started getting personal and we're like, whoa. Now you're getting personal. Yeah. It's like, when you get to that point, it's like, okay, that's enough. So I'm hoping that they stay on the side of, you know, not doing too much with this so that they can let it breathe until Mania, but we'll see.
Yeah, no, I definitely don't disagree with
and I want to bring this up real quickly. For me, I'm thinking this is perfect, but I don't think it's going to happen. I would love to see a clause here saying Seth Rollins can't touch Logan until WrestleMania, because I think that's a Weasley way to get more heat for Logan leading up to WrestleMania. And then, of course, Seth Rollins can just unload when he gets to Mania.
Yeah, I think that would definitely work, but I think they're probably not going to need it because I don't know if we're going to see Logan more than once before Mania, honestly.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
So,
What else you got, Bubba?
I mean, we've gotten this far into the program. Our boy Danny, I'm gonna need you to cover your ears because we're about to talk about Chelsea Green, baby. I'm still digging this stuff, and the stuff with Carmella, like they obviously teased it last week, but they set up again this week. She was going to accompany Carmella for her match with Bianca. There's just something about these two, like it just makes sense. And when we're like begging for a women's tag division, more tag teams, like this is a fun like little duo. But as you can see, the reason why I actually really like this segment is because the Bianca and Asuka feud, it's hard to just do as like we're gonna have to see something every week because they're both super fucking baby faces. So it's not going to be a blood feud. It's going to be more a respect feud. But when you do that, you need individuals who can really elevate both of them and be willing to look foolish, but also make it interesting and entertaining. And that's why Chelsea Green and Carmella are getting gold stars for me, because these two are pretty much playing the heels for Bianca and Asuka in the lead into WrestleMania, because obviously after the match, after Bianca won, Chelsea ate some green mist from Asuka, which I always pop for as a big Tajiri guy. I'm never not going to enjoy that. So I think at some point I think next week it's Bianca versus Chelsea as a match on Raw. I'm sure we'll get a tag match like they love to do, like opponents teaming up. And I think that's maybe where like Asuka inadvertently hits Bianca or something and you get a little bit. But until then, I think that this is the best way to do it when you have two big baby faces, like in a match booked way ahead or a feud that is like you need several weeks to lead up. You need other heels to beat up on, and Chelsea and Carmella are perfect for that.
I feel like there's not really much of a lead up here though between Bianca and Asuka, and I
That's
feel
what
like
I mean. So you got to make it,
but the video package is not going to be. It's like non-existent to me. Like it's just like, oh, she won, great, whatever. Like it is what it is. At some point, there needs to be some type of altercation. There needs to be something that happens here to make the fucking pieces move a little bit. But it's hard. I mean, it's really hard, like you said, with baby faces going at it. I feel like there's a real chance here for a babyface Bianca, but also like heel Asuka. Like Asuka's very much can turn it on a dime if she wanted to.
But like people aren't gonna boo her. Even if she turns heel, like they might boo her against Bianca, but like if she wins that championship coming out of WrestleMania, like they can try to make her heel all they want. Like people have wanted this forever. They're like, it's one of those things. It's gonna be like when they sometimes when they turn Seth or KO heel, it's like they're still gonna be treated like baby faces too. So okay. I think you just make her a badass. You can have her have some heel tendencies, but trying to make her a full-fledged heel, it's gonna be very difficult.
I don't understand why our boy Danny does not love Chelsea. Like
it's such a fun character.
I mean, can I talk to your manager, Danny? I think you need to learn something about this because that's entertainment, pal.
I think that's really just not like Karen's.
Maybe not.
I don't like Karen's either, but a Karen on TV, very entertaining.
Do they have Karens in England? We'll have to ask.
I'm sure they do. Karens are kind of everywhere. I feel like that's just.
I just don't know
if
they
have a different name for it in England.
I was going to say I don't know if the name Karen is a thing in England. Danny, let us know. Educate us, would you, bud? Moving on. Anything else?
I'm surprised that you haven't brought this up yet, but I am starting to enjoy it more and more because at first I was kind of lukewarm on it, but the male models in Nestlemania are getting more and more screen time, especially Maxine with an ability to talk. And this week, not only are they gawking over Otis, but they were trying to use Corbin to do their dirty work. And they even said, maybe if you do something for us, you could fit in here. And I was just like, I love that because poor Corbin is just looking for something. And you're like, he's going to lose because it's just whatever. And it's a great way to get Gable an easy win. And it's like, this is going to drag out them getting rid of Gable because this is going to vault Otis towards the male models, but it's going to vault Gable into looking great. So it's fun. And again, like Corbin right now is a plug and play. Oh, you need someone to get a win? Just throw out Corbin. And what I also loved, I don't know if you saw it on Twitter, but the next day, Chad Gable tweeted, "Justice for Shorty G." And I popped huge because I love Shorty G. And that was obviously the King of the Ring tournament where it was Shorty G and Corbin. And they had two actually awesome matches, but Corbin was the one who won. But when Gable tweeted that justice for this guy, Shorty G, I fucking popped out of my chair. I thought it was great.
You know what hurt my feelings about this entire thing was like the King of the Ring finals was Shorty G versus Corbin. And this was a jobber alert. Like, it is the opposite of what I want. Like, it is ridiculous. I don't know. It's hard. It's fucking hard as hell to deal with, but Again, the male model is getting way more TV time than we expected. The Otis thing is going to be, we know, probably after Mania, so we're kind of stuck there. Maybe there's a Miz TV segment on Mania for Gable to break away. I have no idea, but it's something I've got my eye on, because I just, like we talk about all the time, like most of my mental capacity gets taken up with the bloodline, maybe a Bray Wyatt thing. Sometimes I just want to shut my brain off and be entertained. And I like the Chelseas of the world, the models of the world, like those things, like I'm
It's
like
mindless entertainment.
I don't
That's
have
why
to
I love
worry
too. I'm
about
on the
it.
same page. Yeah.
It's just like, there it is. Let's have some fun. And like, it's a palate cleanse from all the serious, like, I'm a tough guy or tough woman act.
100%.
And I need that. Like the glitter goatee, every time I see it, it's just like, I wish, look, you can't see this because of my terrible lighting. I'm sure Doc's going to have a field day with this. This right here, Doc, this is 3 days of facial hair for me. All right. So I can't even,
You can't even call that facial hair.
No, it's not. I'm not. See, JC has one that's, well, at least
I shaved pretty recently, so it's pretty short right now.
But this might be like, if maybe someday when I hit puberty, it might actually fill in. But I got nothing. I think
at this point, I don't know if it's coming, Nestle.
I don't know
if it's coming for you.
I don't know. But yeah, I mean, maybe I need to be a male model. I have no idea. I could be a hand model, although I've been told my hands look very old too. So I don't know. Nothing on me is good. I'm running apart. I told my wife to get a better model. No. Anyway, on that note, anything else?
I want to jump to SmackDown quickly because I really enjoyed the Dom stuff with Santos this week on SmackDown. Santos kind of like sticking up for Ray because Ray won't stick up for himself. And I love that Dom spit on the Mysterio mask. And then he obviously got not only that Nestlemania, but he beat Santos. Dom beat Santos. Like this is like, if we talk about Dom wins, like especially like since this new character, like I think that's a big win. And then he ripped the mask after. So it's just like this feud is fun. And I love that they're using Santos kind of as a little like piece, because linking him with Mysterio obviously is a good idea and it's probably a dream of his, but it also like it's another way to continue to get heat for Dom before we actually get in a full father-son mode. So I think that's another thing, like one of those like second tier feuds that they're just doing a great job of because they're not rushing it.
You know, when I'm watching this, all I could think about was, we know Rhea and Finn have, matches. We assume Dom and, Ray will have one. And I'm like, God damn it. Poor Priest. Like, I'm sitting there thinking to myself, this poor bastard does so much of the heavy lifting for that crew, and just not to be celebrated after, like, he was part of the Bad Bunny thing. Like, he made Bad Bunny watchable, and like just all these other things, like, that he does so well with the US title and everything. And I'm just thinking they're going like, I hope to Christ he has something, because if he doesn't,
let me put it to you like this. So I think the reason why those 4 guys who were in the Elimination Chamber were in it, it was like, this is your showcase. Because unfortunately, there's not going to be a multi-man for the US title at Mania. So you're not going to have a spot. So Priest, Reed, Gargano, and whoever the 4th guy is that I'm forgetting at the moment. I'm sorry. Here's your showcase, Montez Ford, because you guys aren't going to have a spot at Mania. So here's your showcase. I honestly feel like that's what it's become. I mean, Priest is probably going to do an entrance with some of these guys, if not all of them. So he'll be around. But yeah, I don't disagree. But it's also one of those things. I kind of like that Triple H is drawing a line this year and not just like throwing shit to just have people out there. It's just like, let's do the best stuff. There's still going to be probably 14 or whatever matches because there's 2 nights, but like, let's not overdo it. People are going to be left off, but you know what? Maybe next year it's more motivation. You know what I mean? So
I also think with Triple H involved in the creative, I think it's hilarious to me because we know how much he loves the Gaga entrances. So I assume this year is going to be fucking like,
well, I think that's also part of the reason why you have to dial back other stuff.
No, and I agree. Like it's either like, to me, it's better to not be on the card knowing up front than be on the card and cut.
100%.
And I think
100%.
that's more important to decipher, because people don't think that way. They're like, if he need to be on that, no. Like sometimes it's just not going to work. Would you, like, to me, I wouldn't want a 2 or 3 or 6 minute match at WrestleMania. I just wouldn't. I would want.
I think some people would, because you still get to go out there in front of a crowd and like. I mean, like there's like the one that I really think of is, you remember the Shield match? It was like 6-man tag, and they fought, it was like Road Dogg, Billy Gunn. I don't remember who it was, but it was legit like it was like a 1.5-minute match, and it was just them fucking triple power bombing them all to the table, and that was it.
Yeah,
but it was just like, it's one of those things. Like, it was just like, you got the entrance, and then you got the Shield winning. And it's like, it did what it is. But yeah, I think it's just, and we kind of saw it when we'll talk about Revolution later. Like, this was the most lightly booked AEW pay-per-view ever, and people are raving about it. And I think that's not a mistake. Obviously, they had an Iron Man match, which is part of it, but it also was like, I think even over there, Mr. Tony might be realizing that sometimes a good less is better than a more.
Okay. Anything else you want to get heaty?
We can get heaty, but I just want to say before we transition is in the hashtag Pop Don't Lie of the week. Fucking Edge, man. Did you hear that pop for that, man? Like, Boston popped a lot, but it's one of those things like Edge in front of the big crowd is still like, I mean, Metalingus is awesome, but it's just one of those things. It's like, if I was there too, I would have jumped out. I thought, again, it was another thing. They've done the same thing for like 3 months with Edge, where they're in the middle of a Finn match and fucking Edge's music hit and out comes Edge. And it just still every time it gets a huge pop. Like, I guess if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But here's your hashtag Pop Don't Lie of the week.
There you go. I look forward to the Pop Don't Lie segments. Get them off my TV, get them off my TV, get them off my TV. We are officially in the heat, folks. But what I wanted to piggyback off of what you just said, JC, was there were positives, but there were not so many positives here, where it's just kind of like, what exactly was Edge doing, right? Like, so like Edge came out, it was a thing, he flipped, and then Johnny Gargano won, and it was like immediately here comes Edge to do whatever, which I get. But then what bothered me, like, I'm not a Johnny guy, whatever. Like, Boston didn't really give him a warm welcome. At least that didn't sound like it.
His new music sucks. I think that's the biggest issue.
And I think that's hard for him to, you know, get people excited about, and that's whatever. But it's hard because it's just like, what the fuck are we doing here? You know, like, it's just so hard to watch. And I don't know exactly what to think, because then after they came back from break, Edge said something which I thought was bullshit, where he goes, "Sorry, Johnny Gargano, a match that Finn shouldn't have lost anyway." And I was just like,
oh, you didn't have to say that, dude. Like, Johnny got his win on paper. That's the whole purpose of this segment. And then you just fucking threw it out. Oh, yeah, that was rough. That was rough. That was Johnny, and I saw him backstage. I'd kind of give him like the side eye. I'd be like, "You serious, bro?"
I just thought that was completely unnecessary. Completely unnecessary.
That stood out to me too.
And it's just hard. Like, it's hard to watch it because, like, Rebel Heart, you know, Birdsky says right here, it's like, it's a great value, Rebel Heart, but this doesn't hit the same. And I agree. You know, like, Rebel Heart was a great song. Now, if it's a CFO song, we know why. I think it is, but
it was, yeah, it was.
So I mean, they're not gonna fork over the money. So, you know, it is what it is. However, it's not like he's wrestling any different. It's just weird. Like, I think you and I had talked about this last week, where he doesn't do anything to enchant himself.
Yeah, it's a presentation thing. It's like they haven't. It's a lot of times we see it. It's a reason why a lot of NXT people fail. They're not willing to put in the work for the bigger audience, and it's a problem. When they put in the work, aka Riddle and Damian Priest, we've seen it pay dividends. When they don't put in the work, you get this.
It was just the Edge thing upset me more, because I was like, Johnny Gargano got a giant win, and then the Edge thing was like, here we go.
Very unnecessary.
Very, you know, I was gonna say uncharacteristic, but we both know that's just not true. But then again, he probably doesn't look good in a turtleneck, which is why he probably has to do that stuff. So, just saying. I think turtlenecks are very hard to wear, and I think somebody else, maybe his tag team partner, did it better. Just saying. Saying.
We'll talk to him about him later in the show.
Okay. I'm going to go through some very quick things because they upset me, Jobber Alert style. Tegan Knox, Jobber Alert. What the F?
That match got rewritten because Ronda's hurt. And now, judging by my biggest heat of the week, which we'll probably get to shortly, I don't know what's going to happen with Ronda, but that'll be interesting. What's going on there at Mania?
Moving on to another, Dolph Ziggler, Omos, not even a minute. Get off my TV. Ooh, wow. Like, that one was
so obviously, like, we knew what this was. Like, whatever. You're just making Omos unbeatable. But what do you think of this Ali shit? Because it's mostly been on Twitter. It hasn't really been on the main TV. It honestly is not interesting to me, but I'm curious your take.
I think that Ali needs to be a heel. So if this is going to get him to be a heel and a whiny little bitch, like, I'm okay with it. Again, it was bottom of the hour. It fed Dolph Ziggler to, you know, Omos, which, again, fine. I'm okay with it. But I don't think Ali will ever break higher than where he is. Like, he's just not available to change. I don't think in the way that he needs to. Like, I just don't think he can do it. Like, if he goes to somewhere where he can just wrestle, like a Ring of Honor or AEW or anywhere in the Indies or even Impact or something, like, that guy's going to flourish because he's such an amazing talent inside the ring. But in terms of what he has to do when he speaks, is just he loses everybody. He loses everybody unless he's going to be a dick. And I think if he's going to be a dick, let him be what he is right now. So to me, this is the best version of him that I think we've seen. I thought I was interested in the hacker gimmick, but I think this tends to be the only thing
Let's
that I can
not
think
talk
of.
about Retribution.
No, I'm not
please.
saying Retribution specifically. I was saying the hacker gimmick, which again always gets tied to it. But I just think it's interesting. Of course, we'll move on to Nikki versus Piper. Excuse me, Pepper. That was a fucking terrible match, terrible finish. Don't even know why it was fucking there.
Well, so here's my biggest issue with it. It wasn't even the fact that it was a 2-second match, but like Piper and Nikki were a fucking tag team that never broke up, and there were like segments where it was putting in work to them like getting it together, and they just dropped it, and that was just completely ignored and not acknowledged because they're trying to do this Nikki Candice thing, and I was just like, I'm not that stupid. Like, I don't like this was of something that happened in the Vince era constantly, where we would come on here and we would complain because it's an insult. It's insulting to our intelligence. So I see it now. It just happened. You insulted my intelligence. So fuck you. That was horrible. I agree. What the fuck? Acknowledge that shit. Come on. You're better than that.
Acknowledge it.
Acknowledge it.
The other thing I would say very quickly is like they said is the first time ever that they actually faced each other. And I in my head, I'm like, poppycock. I don't believe that at all.
I don't believe it either.
I don't believe it.
Well, I think they're trying to pretend like Dewdrop didn't exist. It's like, besides a little bit of paint in her face, she looks exactly the same. So again, fuck you. Don't insult my intelligence. I'm not fucking stupid.
Acknowledge it. We're going to have a fucking shirt that just says acknowledge it with my face. Acknowledge it.
No face t-shirts. Please.
No face t-shirts. Face t-shirts do not sell, by the way. Go to
tpublic.com. Who wants to wear a face on their fucking belly?
That's true. Especially if you have a rotund belly and the face isn't, rotund.
Let's be honest. Most wrestling fans, the odds are they probably have a little bit more of a rotund belly.
That's okay. You know what? Everybody's got a little pack. It's okay. But I'm just saying face tees don't sell. We know that. Go to www.tpublic.com/jobberknocker. Pick up your tees today, specifically the super hot fire that JC's wearing, as well as there's a tribal cuck, the Nestle curse, which apparently is doing very well. My wife is confused by the Nestle curse. I bought like 6 things recently because I need to load up, but got to show people at my new job what's up.
Yeah, I mean, you're also gonna have to find new things to wear in this podcast because you're not gonna be able to wear that jacket anymore when I dethrone you.
Well, that right there is the most upsetting thing I've heard. Yeah, that's a victory sip. Well, that's a preemptive sip because
I'm gonna need a refill soon.
You got any more boxes behind you? You got a nice little white Zinfandel, perhaps?
No, I have the rest of this bottle, but it's in the fridge because you want to drink it chilled. So.
But you have a box. You don't have a bottle, do you?
It's not a box. It's a fucking bottle. You kidding me, bro? The only time I drink wine out of a box is up in Maine because sometimes it's harder to carry and just fucking don't care what you drink up there because you got to drag it over from the fucking mainland. So I'll drink. My dad and I will have a box just as like a backup. So when we run out of all the good stuff, we just drink that.
So it's a sad day when you have to break open a box?
Not really, because I'm still drinking and I'm on vacation. So it's never a sad day up there. All right. I drink, eat, and stare at the ocean. It's great.
As I go through the rest of my notes here,
There's two major themes.
We can talk about the damage control thing if you want. Go ahead.
Okay, so here are my notes. Becky, Lita, and Trish, cringe. Damage control, cringe. 6-woman tag, cringe. End notes. This shit was horrible, Nestle. Like, this was a bad segment. Like, when I say that I got home from work and I loved watching Raw and I fell asleep during the segment, not a lie, because it's just bad. It was cringe. It's just like, look it. I love all 6 of these women. I don't know how many times we have to say it. They're all awesome. They're all extremely talented. First of all, 6-woman tags are trash. And second of all, Lita and Trish are retired for a reason, even though I still love them. And just damage control is awful. And Becky's Becky. Like, whatever. There are sometimes she's super cringe. There's sometimes she's great. In this particular thing, they're all super cringe. And again, then I'm watching, I'm like, okay, so we're doing this 6-woman tag. Are Becky and Lita going to drop those titles to like Ronda and Shayna before Mania, or are they just going to fucking drag them around? We're not going to defend those at Mania, and we're just going to continue to not have a division. So either way, I'm looking at, I see lose.
So I watched your boy Ariel interview Bailey, and she talked about if WrestleMania is the end of damage control, that would be okay with her. But she would want it to continue. But it's to have a damage control match means a lot to her. So I don't know if that's why it's happening that way or whatever.
I mean, it's a big deal for those other 2 women too to get in the ring with Trish and Lita. Like, and on the big stage, like Io and Dakota are 2 of the more deserving women to have that platform. I'm just not going to care about this particular match. I'll watch the entrances. After that, I might, go get a refill.
No, listen, I get it. I'm just saying for you that I'm watching this going, Lita's never been good in the ring. She comes off like a dick when she talks, and it's like, and then Trish Stratus is probably the best woman to ever do it. Like there's no denying that, right? Like she's the best person to ever do it.
I don't know.
Well,
Back
maybe
then.
Charlotte. Okay,
If we exclude the current generation of stars, sure. Yeah.
Sure.
Because I think there's probably like 5 that are doing it now that are better. But I think that's just part of the times.
Right. Okay. Times. She will always be put on a pedestal. But then she opens her mouth and you're just like, oh my God, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, it's just like, I'm gonna go from I am retired to I was retired. And I went, who fucking wrote that shit? Like in my head, I'm thinking to myself, like, did she practice that? Was that the best take she gave? Like, I'm settling on this one, guys. With their head bob, and I'm just like, how fucking tough are you? Like, and I'm sitting there like, Bailey's trying to fucking hold it together, and then the other two don't fucking talk because, stuff. And then I'm just sitting there thinking to myself, what fucking car wreck am I watching here? And thank God it was right before the main event, because all I could think about was, Jesus Christ, I have to fucking sit through this. I can't fast forward this because it's not a match. It's not an entrance. I have to fucking watch this verbal diarrhea. And granted, pot meat kettle, I know, because it's hard for me to say Firefly Funhouse, flip flop and son of a bun. But I'm just saying, they're getting paid millions of dollars. Me, not so much. So I'm allowed to, flip flop and slap slop and all that other stuff. But these people should be able to fucking eloquently make me care. And all I thought about was, those tag titles don't mean shit. Shit. They don't, and you can't tell me differently, because it's just
not meant shit. They meant shit for a very short period of time. Yeah. And they didn't, because the people who had them were upset about it, because they knew this was coming.
I mean, if you're stuck with the 6-woman tag, at least have them lose those tag titles back to somebody that's not in this 6-woman thing. Like, just Ronda, Shayna, Tegan, and fucking Natty, fucking somebody. Okay, sorry. What I should have said is Natty and a fucking broom, because essentially that's what it's going to end up being.
Tegan and Natty versus Chelsea and Carmella at WrestleMania.
There you go. Give me something. Match. Give me something. If here's the thing, if Natty, sorry, I'm going to retract this. If somehow, some way, Carmella and Chelsea get a fucking tag team title match before WrestleMania, I'm going to fucking shit my pants.
I would love it.
Like, out of happiness, I'm going to shit my fucking pants. Like, I cannot, like, that to me is wonderful. Just fucking awesome. So, is there anything else you want to talk about? That I think I covered most of my notes, but I think you said there was something else.
I mean, the other major thing, we haven't talked about your boy, Bray Wyatt, Uncle Howdy, Bobby Lashley.
I was hoping we were going to skip it.
I'm just saying, like, I had 2 major heats of the week, and because I'm really loving the WrestleMania card so far. Lashley and Bray I don't have as much of a problem with as a 6-woman tag, but it's just like, this shit sucks, man. Anytime I see Uncle Howdy, I'm out, because I think that character fucking sucks. And Bray,
it's tough. I mean, the fact that on SmackDown, Bobby came to fucking SmackDown, which was cool. Uncle Howdy, clearly Bo Dallas with that primal scream that we heard when they fucking did something. It was just like, you touched my butt. That's exactly where it went to my head.
It would be so much better if it was just Bo Dallas attacking Bobby Lashley.
Yeah, well, in his white fucking diaper tights, like, whatever, it's fine. But so I'm sitting there and I'm watching, I'm like, well, that was fucking weird. And then, of course, like on Monday, it's just like Bobby going like, Bray Wyatt, like, I showed up and you weren't there. And there's something happened behind me that I'm not supposed to pay attention to. And I guess you're not a man. See ya. Like, I was just like, what the fuck am I watching? Like, it's going to be fucking William Shakespeare soliloquy on Friday from Bray Wyatt giving us fucking hidden messages, and fucking Bobby being like, I want to fight you. Even though Bray has technically not done anything. He sent a fucking, minion. He didn't do anything. So,
which is weird that Uncle Howdy's the minion now, because it seemed like Bray. It's just like, I just can't wrap my head around it.
I'm officially out. I'm officially out on Bray Wyatt. Like, the fact that he said that he will never do the Fiend again made me go, you are stupid. Like, I don't care if there's a psychological problem. I don't care if there's a real reason behind it. You're looking at that fucking character and thinking to yourself, like, I'm never gonna pick that mask back up. You're pissing away the most over thing you've ever done. Like, I can't. I'm sure someone could sit me down and explain it, but like, no one's ever going to explain it to me. So I'm left with not having this answer. But like, that was a fucking slam dunk. It was a fucking slam dunk. And when you create this fucking character where it's like, I'm Bray Wyatt. Nobody cares that you're a person. You're supposed to be a fucking supernatural thing. Like, I'm sorry. You're just
I
not
don't
as
care that you're a person.
No,
be
I
a
don't.
fucking character.
At USA, characters welcome, right? Like, just fucking. Do you listen? It's not like he's Wyndham. If he's Wyndham, whatever, that's cool. But like, what the fuck? Like, if you're not even gonna parade around the puppets, like that's the thing that drives me insane. Is like, there's no cohesive story with this entire thing. Bray Wyatt, let alone the cohesive story with Bobby Lashley that's fucking fumbling and bumbling and stumbling to the fucking finish line of WrestleMania. So, I mean, if we're gonna get fucking Muscle Man Dance versus fucking Bobby Lashley, get me the fuck out of here. I'm done. I'm fucking done.
I'd rather see Husky Harris versus Bobby Lashley, if we're being honest.
He says he won't do Swamp Bray or The Fiend. It's like, so basically you're not going to ever talk about
You're
your
not going to be
career.
cool anymore.
You know, it's like, I don't care how many fucking jean jackets you wear and fucking like Sistine Chapel t-shirts you fucking put on. Like, come on. Like, you were my favorite thing. And now you're like, I'm not doing that anymore.
You know what I just realized, Nestlemania, and this is looking way into the future. And I know like a lot of people have thought about this, but when people start to get sick of Cody Rhodes, it's gonna be when he feuds with Bray Wyatt, and he's gonna want to feud with Bray Wyatt because you know who Husky Harris's pro was on NXT? Cody Rhodes.
Cody Rhodes, yeah.
So hopefully that feud doesn't come for like 6 years.
Hey, but you know what? Maybe Wade Barrett could get involved somehow, even though technically it was a different season.
I'm afraid I've got
some bad news.
All right, you want to get bad news, Nestlemania? We're gonna go to the hope. Glorious, you're my only hope, because my hope is gonna involve 3 people that you don't like very much. So we agree that Karrion Kross sucks and he needs something. And my big thing is like this motherfucking loser needs some heavies. He needs some people to guard his back.
Don't say it.
And there's a fucking duo that's rumored to come back to WWE that would fit in perfectly with Karrion Kross and make me buy into him a lot more because you have little Jezebel next to him, but you have 2 hulking fucking men. And you down with AOP? Yeah, you know me. You down with AOP? Yeah, you know me. It's Akam. It's Rizal. And they're coming down with Chris Cross. Karrion Kross. Oh! Karrion Kross and AOP. It's a match made in heaven. Triple H likes them, obviously, because they were some of his babies. They're huge. They're big. I enjoy them for the most part because they're big and they're fun. And I think they could give Karrion Kross some legitimacy. So if he's going to be on television wasting my time, at least make him more believable because he's not believable with his very nice coiffed hair, as you like to point out, and his little tiny little boy frame, and the fact that I stare at his wife way more than him. At least with them out there, I'll stare at them a little bit, and then his wife, and then him. But he'll look tougher with his own little like ministry or whatever the fuck you want to call it. But I'm putting Karrion Kross in my hope because I'm desperate at this point because I have to watch this dude every week. He needs to be interesting. So make him down with AOP. Because you know me. Hashtag JC knows. Hashtag JC's hopes come true. I know Nessa loves that one.
Did you hurt me on purpose? Did you really want to like? So here's the thing. Every single time you say AOP, this is a reference you are definitely not going to get, but this is for everybody else that's ever fucking watched pop culture because you're limited to certain things. When I look at AOP, I think of Tokar and Razor from Ninja Turtles Secret of the Ooze #2. Like they are just
are Akam and Razor.
Right. I think they're just fucking idiots. Like they're just like, oh, we got ooze in us and we're gonna beat people up. Like that's what it is. When I look at them, I'm just like all I'm thinking is like, is fucking somebody gonna put a fucking thing in the donut and make them fall asleep like they did in the fucking movie? It's like, oh my god, nums. Like that's all I think about. Like when I watch them. It's fucking, they're going to fucking drug them in a donut and be like, okay, AOP, like just fall over. AOP was over with Seth Rollins though. I will say that much when that happened.
The idea of them was interesting. The reason why I really enjoyed them in NXT, and I think this happens a lot in NXT, is a lot of the NXT superstars are smaller because they're like this like indie type wrestling guys. So when you mix in with like a bigger tag team like an AOP, it makes for some more fun matchups because we talk about it all the time. You get some big guys, you get some little guys. It's a lot of fun. So, you just don't like AOP and you don't like Karrion Kross. So I knew you wouldn't like that, but I'm trying to make things better.
JC likes them big fun boys. The fact that you think it's fun, Bertsky, hurts my feelings.
You don't think Braun Strowman's fun?
No, I like Braun Strowman, but of course
you don't think Brock Lesnar's fun? Come on, dude. You don't think I'm fun with my twang?
I think you're upsetting half the United States with that impersonation.
I don't think that demographic listens to our podcast.
Are you telling me that they don't like the jobber knocker? Come on. Come on.
Them knocking jobbers.
They're knocking
It's not
jobbers.
mental. I love accents, period. So when I do them, it's more of a term of endearment, and I'm really bad at doing them, so they all sound horrible. But because I know I have a little bit of a Boston accent myself, and people make fun of me for it all the time, and I have no problem with it. Can't help it. That's how I talk.
I mean,
People shouldn't be ashamed of how they talk. I love accents.
I'm surprised Danny's still friends with us because of the way we talk. And we probably, I've not done my shitty English accent because I love him so much, and I don't want to insult him in any way because it'll just come off like Cockney, like fucking Mary Poppins or something. You know, like "Hello, Governor," you know, and he'll fucking hate me for the rest of my life. I apologize, Danny. I love you. Don't leave me. On that note,
he stopped listening when we talked about Chelsea Green.
Yeah, it's also like 1 o'clock in the morning over there, the bastard.
Yes,
Anyway, as I was saying, my hope is very interesting because I was watching part of AEW Revolution, and all I could think about was I didn't care for Maxwell Jacob Friedman leading up to this. I thought they kind of butchered him in some way, but I was thinking about where his next challenger is going to be, and all I could think about was there was one person on Revolution that fucking just fucking went above and beyond, and that is Hangman Adam Page. I thought that fucking match was fucking brutal, fucking out of this world, unnecessary, completely unnecessary, because, you know, fucking bleeding and John
there
Moxley.
will be blood.
Like it was
John Moxley match.
It was in the fork and then like everything barbed wire. It was just like whatever. But it's too much. But I was just like, at least he won with the Hangman thing. That was cool. But like seeing Hangman, the way he can cut a promo, and seeing the way that we used to see Max cut a promo, I'm hoping that that's the next feud, because I think we need to get, you know, MJF away from all these other people who are kind of slowing him. Not saying Daniel Bryan slowed him down, but it was just like the presentation and the storyline itself kind of didn't sort itself out until too late, and I didn't give a fuck. Now, granted, the match was great. Like, I mean, the hour-long match for certain people, they can sit there and jerk off about it.
It was more than an hour. I believe it was an hour and 7 minutes.
Yes, that's way too long for me. Because
that's about 3 Johnny Gargano matches, Nestlemania.
You know what? That's why I'm going to give Johnny Gargano the week off. All right. So I actually defended him in the Shine. I mean, this is a banner day for Johnny Gargano fans everywhere. TJ, keep your pants on. So the other thing is that I think having Hangman get him into a better situation will work, because Hangman doesn't have to win, but Hangman versus MJF, I think, will be fucking dynamite. Not, you know, pun intended here. I think that's where it needs to go, because I was trying to look at what happened at Revolution, and I don't see too many people that I'm excited about going forward.
Yeah, that's definitely the one that makes sense. And he was kind of asked about in the presser, and he named like a lot of people, obviously, and it seemed like there'll probably be like a quick little TV one with Jungle Boy, maybe he hinted at. But I would think the next pay-per-view will be headlined by Hangman and MJF. And I think this feud will be hot because Hangman was a guy that it just like, even when he lost, like everyone felt like he got a raw deal, because that was obviously with the whole CM Punk fiasco and everything. He's a guy people have wanted to see get back, and he's obviously a guy that people really like. And they're two of like those AEW original guys. They're probably like the two poster boys for that in Hangman and MJF. So that will be a hot feud for sure. But Nestlemania, we're going to keep the Revolution talk right into my comeback, because the Guns, they said they were going to go celebrate with tequila. They said they were the best tag team in the world. So you knew it was happening, baby. FTR, they got another month and a half left before they're free to leave if they would like. But they're back to work, at least for now, to finish the story with the Guns, which is a theme in wrestling this time of year. So finish your story. I mean, the crowd loved this. I love this. It was cool. FTR is awesome. The way they booked this, the tag bullshit kind of made more sense now, because it kind of took out all the other ones for now, and it kind of gave the Acclaimed a path where they could maybe work back up to the Guns while we take a little detour with FTR, because I do expect that FTR is just coming back to make the Guns look really good before they leave, because I do think they're leaving. But I saw this was cool, and I'm excited they're back to work. I'm glad that they got their rest, and I look forward to their work, because I think they can bring the best out of the Guns. I think there's a natural rivalry there, and I think Dax has been very good setting it up in his podcast too. You know, so like he knows what he's doing. They all do. But I'm excited to see them back. You know, I love FTR. One last ride in AEW before they come to Revival again. Sign me up.
Well, if you listen to Goliath Freezer, he said they just signed like new extension deals or something. So who the fuck
I'll
knows?
listen to FTR with Dax on Wednesday, and he'll probably laugh about that.
Anyway,
Meltzer doesn't like him, so
That's true. Very true. My comeback goes to something that I wasn't necessarily loving until it fucking happened and unraveled in front of my very own eyes. Was Sheamus and McIntyre on SmackDown with the bloody you're what did he say? You're backstabbing me. You know how important this IC title was, and then fucking LA Knight comes out, wham. Fucking New Day comes out, fucking they start brawling. You know, unfortunately Kofi hurt his leg. Hopefully he's gonna be all right. But I went and I watched that segment and I'm like, yeah, like the fact that Sheamus thinks that his friend fucked him over already, like I'm into that. Like we talk about this all the time about McIntyre being kind of fucking a snooze fest most of the time. In my opinion, he's just kind of like waiting and anticipating to finally get that championship in front of the crowd.
Danny's comment because it kind of fits here.
Okay, great. I'm a Brit hater. I get it. Yeah. Okay. Whatever. How am I a hater if I'm giving him my comeback? But whatever. You guys are all fucking assholes. Whatever.
You gave him your comeback and then you turn to insult him and call him boring.
No, I said he was boring. He's getting my comeback because he was, and now he's not. That's the whole point of giving a comeback.
Oh,
you jerk. So that's all I'm saying. Anyway, I'm interested to see if this goes into a triple threat, if it's a fucking 6-man ladder match. I don't know where this is headed, but it's interesting to see the dynamic between Sheamus and Drew McIntyre because they did so many great matches during the pandemic. So I love that. I think Sheamus is a fucking bona fide stud in general, but the heel Sheamus has always been his fucking bread and butter. I would, however, like to see Drew McIntyre turn heel here. So that's my hope. I think we keep Sheamus babyface when we get a heel McIntyre because I think McIntyre's run his course as a babyface, in my opinion, but that's just me. Just me. So that's my hope.
Yeah, I don't think that's happening. But you didn't even mention the star of the segment. Yeah. Big pop for LA Knight. Love that guy. He's so good. But yeah, I'm curious to see what they do with this match on SmackDown because it was supposed to be a fatal 4-way, but Kofi appears to have a broken foot. He's in like a air cast. So that'll be interesting. They can obviously just slide Xavier in if this is truly going to be like Drew and Gunther, but it does feel like we're at least getting a triple threat. But it'll be interesting to see how they pull it off. But yeah, I did enjoy that segment as well.
I mean, they could do a double pin, but we'll see. I doubt that's going to happen.
That would be lame as fuck. I hate double pin. Should we finish?
Let's go to the big old finish, baby.
Quickly on SmackDown, we have, like we mentioned, have the number one contenders for the IC tournament with those 4. We also have a tag match playa with the people that were feuding with Drew and Sheamus, the Viking Raiders, but now they're fighting Braun and Ricochet.
Because, yeah, you know, continuity is important in SmackDown. Who gives a shit?
Yeah. On Raw, we have Edge calling out Balor. That'll probably set up their match at WrestleMania. Then we have 2 singles matches booked. One is Bianca and Chelsea Green. I actually am very excited for that. And then we have a match where I don't know if I'll watch. It's Elias versus Bronson Reed.
Well, here's hoping that he gets squashed. Moving backwards, I really hope that the fucking Hell in a Cell is just hanging there and fucking they don't look at it and all of a sudden they just look up and they're like, let's have a match.
You want to do it?
You know, it's like, you can point at the sign or you can point at the cage. You know, it's like, I don't know why I came to Sly Stallone all of a sudden. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what the
like,
fuck?
remember when I went over the top and over the top? No, it's fine. But it's just, it's hard because like we know Edge and Balor's going to bang at WrestleMania. We just know it. It's fucking Hell in a Cell or whatever. We know it's going to be fucking, you know, 45 minutes of nonsense.
I bet it's like a last man standing.
It'll be something. We already did Last Man Standing. Oh no, we did I Quit. That's what it was.
Oh, wasn't I Quit? Yeah, then maybe it wasn't. I feel like they won't do Hell in a Cell just because that's a pay-per-view. I feel like they stay away from it, but who knows?
It's just hard. And then of course,
and Ray's already got enough props. He's got to take the WrestleMania. You want him to take a fucking cage too? That's mean.
I mean, you know, it is what it is. And I think what else would you say on SmackDown? Chelsea, that's a good one. And then
and Raw, Chelsea and Bianca, and then Bronson Reed and Elias for the match of the week.
No thanks. All right.
I did like that backstage segment though with Boogs being like, "Oh, you told me to get a match with him." And I just because you knew that's exactly what he was doing. And it just kind of worked. Like Boogs is playing the stupid really well right now. So it's like I don't love it because it involves Elias and he bores me. But Boogs did a nice job.
It's Rick Boogs. How can you hate Boogs?
I think he tries a little too hard sometimes, but that's just me. That's just me. He's fine. I think he's good. He's fine. He's fine. Just not always my favorite thing. But
okay.
Should we talk about Revolution Nestlemania?
Let's get Revolution in here.
I'm starting with Christian Cage because you know what? That motherfucker got buried into the ground. I didn't even know it was a buried alive match, but Him and I guess you can't call him Jungle Boy anymore. You have to call him Jack Perry, which is super fucking boring. I'm calling him Jungle Boy, Tony. You can't tell me what to do. But finally, I mean, this obviously would have felt a lot bigger if they could have done this match before Christian got hurt when they wanted to. Because with the gravestones and all that, they were clearly leading to this. But on this, it just kind of felt random. But I still like that they had the payoff and we had Christian putting him over. And I hope Christian's contract is up soon so we can have that dream match with FTR and WWE with Edge.
I have to say this very quickly because it made me laugh. The fucking way the casket just like fucking came out of nowhere.
It was awesome. I actually kind of liked it.
It was like cool. It was like Beetlejuicy. It was like the fucking Joker from 1989 with a fucking hand and it's a whole thing. But it's just like I started laughing when I saw that. And then somebody on Twitter had a great fucking rebuttal. If Christian ever does come back and he gets on the microphone again, he goes, somebody wrote, "I went to hell. Thank you for sending me to hell so I could tell your father what a piece of shit you are." And I was like, oh my God. That would have been fucking outstanding. But again, wrestling in a turtleneck, good fucking God. That as a man, not a man, as a kid that my mom used to put me in turtlenecks for every school picture. Turtlenecks are not a fucking fashion choice, as well as the fact not a good wrestling choice. So I commend him on fucking doing that because that fucking probably sweat the fucking balls out of his whole body. He's a stud. So anything else
about Revolution?
Revolution. So here's the thing that I'm gonna be fucking upset about. I don't even think it happened on fucking Revolution specifically, but Hobbs win this big fucking ladder match with fucking 18 guys doing God knows what, and Sammy fucking doing,
It's normally nonsense. They put that on the pay-per-view, but with the
right.
match,
but here's my biggest gripe about this entire thing, right? Like, and this is sour grapes for me, is like you gold up, you get the fucking golden ramen noodle and fucking Sonic ring, whatever the fuck it is. It's the fucking brass ring or whatever. But then it's for the second tier title, but then Wardlow beats fucking, Samoa Joe, taps him out, or he falls asleep. And then it's like immediately the next week, it's like, well, fuck. Like, if Wardlow wins, then what's the fucking point of this poor bastard going through a fucking ladder match?
Because I think Hobbs is winning on Wednesday. Okay, I really do. I think they're flipping it immediately. I think they what they wanted to do is they wanted to get Wardlow's comeuppance on Joe, get Joe out of the picture. And then I think this event's still in California. And as you've noticed from that match, it's Hobbs' home state, and that place goes fucking nuts for him. Like, he was the biggest babyface in that match. And that's why against Wardlow's probably going to get booed on Wednesday. And as we've seen with Tony, he is the anti-Vince. People win shit in their hometowns. So I think Powerhouse Hobbs, Powerhouse, is winning that TNT title on Wednesday, and Wardlow's going to have the shortest reign ever.
But why not just have Samoa Joe keep it? You know what I mean? Like, why?
Fuck Samoa Joe. Go to Ring of Honor, you loser. You have a Ring of Honor title. Hobbs and Wardlow's the feud here. And you get Wardlow. It's weird the way they did it. Like having the Darby pit stop in between and having them so close. I don't disagree. It's not the best timing. But to me, it makes the most sense to put that title on Hobbs. They've been doing the Book of Hobbs vignettes for him. He's the guy that has been slowly working his way. He looks great. I think he's one of the most improved guys they have on that roster. His characters come around. And heels with titles is always better. So pull the trigger, Tony. It's going to be in his hometown. It's going to be great. And you can still have Wardlow chasing if you want to. If not, you can separate them. But I think the money's on Hobbs winning on Wednesday. Book it.
Anything else from Revolution you want to talk about? We didn't really talk about the main event, but
I don't care to talk about Texas Death Match because I don't enjoy those matches. It's disgusting. And a 6-man tag, I don't care how good it was. I don't fucking care. As I told our boy Dom, I just don't care. You can't make me care. But the main event, it's long, but MJF and Bryan Danielson are really good. And I don't dispute any people saying that was an amazing match or this was an amazing pay-per-view. I don't dispute that at all because it seemed like it was. I didn't obviously get to see really a lot of it, but I watched a lot of the highlights. I read about it, watched a lot of clips, and this looked awesome. I did watch the second half of this match, and it was really good. And obviously it got a little overshadowed with him slapping or spilling a drink on a kid. But again, that's par for the course with MJF, man. But I did watch the entire presser, and I thought he was awesome in that. He was like making fun of CM Punk, except for the muffin. It was with a fucking pickle, and it's the dude is so fucking good at his job, and it's just like no matter how much you hate him, you just respect him because he's so fucking good. And this was a big moment for him because his big theme has been like, I'm not the best on the mic, I'm the best on the mic and in the ring. I'm the greatest of all time because of it, because I have both. And when you say that I'm not as good in the ring as I say I am, you're a fucking idiot. And this is me proving it. So I thought that's what it was about. Like, we agreed. The lead up was dog shit. But in terms of what it wanted to accomplish in the end goal, in beating Bryan Danielson in an Iron Man match that went to overtime, it accomplished that.
I think it's hard for me to be excited about, like, at least there was a DQ there and like other things that happened. But it was just hard for me when there's like 3 falls or 4 falls. Like, it just gets to a point of like, and I know that, yes, it's an hour and whatever, but like, at least in my head, I don't want to see a match go over 45 minutes. I really don't. I don't even want to see a match go over half an hour. I'll say 35 to be nice. I really don't. We used to joke it was a Gargano special, but in NXT it was. But now I look at this and I went like, I don't care if they were my 2 favorite wrestlers. If you give me an hour, like, and I love wrestling. I love wrestling, like, very much, but I don't have an hour to sit there. Like, if you and I were watching this live, you and I, knowing the way we are, we would be half watching and pay attention to this matchup. We wouldn't be invested in this matchup over an hour.
I don't disagree overall, but I do think from some of the stuff I saw from the beginning is MJF did a lot of like the leaving the ring, and he even like went to the camera and be like, "Oh, you're gonna dock me a star for this one, Davey boy?" Like shit like that. Like it's gets because it's kind of like the thing of like why Roman's run times get up long now, because he just kind of like stands there and stares. Like it's to kind of get the energy. So with MJF, it's a little different. Like if they did this match with fucking like John Moxley and Kenny Omega, I'd fucking like I wouldn't even watch it. But at least with like MJF, like I feel like it could mostly hold my attention, but there definitely would be parts like where it's just like, okay, what are we doing? It's like we agreed going in, they didn't need this, but I think they really wanted to establish with MJF and I think they accomplished what they wanted to establish with it. So I get it. And I thought he played his part perfectly. I think Bryan Danielson sacrificed himself for this kid, which needs to be fucking commended as well, because it was awesome. He performed like he always does, and he literally like sacrificed himself to get this kid to the next level. And I think he got him there. And I think that, like you alluded to in your hope, like a feud with Hangman Page, who was the other big winner from this pay-per-view, finally overcoming Moxley in a big time match, even though it's not my cup of tea. A lot of people love that. And he looked great. Like it's setting up a mega feud, which I think is special.
And one thing I did want to say that I want to point out that was definitely perfect and wonderful about this main event was it was logical. Like
Yes.
the fact that they brought in an oxygen mask at one point, and that was the way he won. Like they went back and called a lot of things from the beginning to the end. Again, a logical thing, like the referee going, "Go right ahead, hit him with a fucking championship. I don't want you to be champion. Go get DQ'd." Like I was like, where the fuck has that been all my life? So like I think logically they deserve, a round of applause because they did a great job with logic, which is definitely lost in a wrestling match nowadays. So I think they did a great job, putting it in that 67-minute match. But again, I don't have time for 67 minutes. I'm sorry. I just fucking don't.
Well, maybe you'll have time for Dynamite this week, Nestlemania, because as of now, as before we started recording, there were 3 matches. Mr. Khan actually added 2 matches in the 20 minutes before we recorded, but I did get them. But we have the Wardlow Powerhouse Hobbs TNT title, which we talked about. We also have recently added Orange Cassidy defends his All-Atlantic Championship like he does every week against Jay Lethal, the last man who has defeated him.
I mean, I think that Jay Lethal does good matches. I don't like the guy, so, it is what it is.
Orange Cassidy is amazing. I'm all for him. He could fight a fucking, like you say, a broom. I'd be all over it. And then we have the Nestle special. We have AR Fox and Top Flight taking on the Jericho Appreciation Society in a 6-man tag, player.
Nope. Just nope.
I agree. I think it's Jericho, Guevara, and Garcia. So at least
that's what I can see in the graphic right now. Yeah, just nope. Just nope.
And I don't know. Maybe he'll add a women's match.
There's a Ruby Soho versus Sky Blue. We can't downplay that.
That must have just got added. So Ruby Soho turned heel. That was the other thing we didn't talk about, and I don't fucking care because I mean, I'm just glad Hater won because I'm a hater.
Hater,
baby, hater for life.
Yeah, it's just hard to watch sometimes. It's just convoluted. It's just fucking awful. So I'm glad the pay-per-view went well, but not going to.
Yeah, no, I am too, because I think they needed it, because it wasn't. We weren't alone in saying the lead up for this thing sucked. But like I think you alluded to it, like in our knocker chat, it's just when the expectations are low, that's when things deliver. We've seen it over the year with WWE pay-per-view. Some of the ones we shit on going in, they turn out to be great, and I think that really benefited AEW here. But I think the important thing now for Tony is now that Ring of Honor's in its own sphere, and you like MJF might have really found his footing here, and you're kind of solidifying some guys in certain roles. It's like, get back to what made AEW great. Use the momentum that you're getting from this pay-per-view, and like really like give us the good stuff again, man. None of the fucking bullshit. Don't convolute stuff. Don't like it's give us that beauty of the AAW variety in terms of wrestling and characters, and like again, like featuring the stars every week, like in their own way, but like not oversaturated. So I think he has a chance now to get AAW back on track. So we'll see what he does.
Anything else you want to get out of
Nope,
here?
I'm done.
All right. Well, we went over an hour and 8 minutes, so nobody wants to listen to us, most likely.
Hey, you know what? We talked about so much, though, and it wasn't just one match. We talked about like 80 matches.
That's true.
So,
we put over a
credit
lot of
to
things.
us.
Yeah, great job. Barry Horowitz. Pat on the back. On that note, thank you for listening to the Jobber Knocker. We'll be back next week with more Jobber Knockery.
Powerhouse.